We're only 2 league games into this season and already we're taking a 2-week break. But Fog Football is here to cover all the action from Match Day 2. Welcome back, guys, to the channel. Match Day 2, 2-week break, Scottish League Cup, European games. It's all going down. The national team as well will be playing soon. Lots of Scottish football to talk about, especially the fixtures and results from this weekend. So some big results in all the leagues. Of course, at the top of the Scottish football pyramid, we have a two-way battle for the lead. Celtic and St Mirren, both sitting on 6 points. Who will be the first team to drop points out of them? We'll talk about that when we get there. We'll have a look at the fixtures that they'll be playing in weekday 3. But before then, let's start in League 2, Cinch League 2. And as always, we'll go through the results and we'll have a look at the scorers. We'll look at the attendances. And up first was Clyde. We had a 2-0 defeat at home against Bonnie Rig Rose. So yeah, newly relegated Clyde. It sounds weird when you say that, newly relegated, but I'm going to stick with it because they did get relegated. It is a fact. They might not like that fact, but here, it's not my fault they were shite last season and went down. They got beat 2-0 at home. Jason Jarvis and Bradley Barrett getting the goals for Bonnie Rig. With Dumbarton drawn with the Spartans. The Spartans are one of my picks to go up this season. I think it's going to be either them or Forfar Athletic, but the Spartans couldn't get the win against Dumbarton. And Forfar, the other team that I predicted to go up, couldn't get the win either against Elgin City. So, yeah, the two teams I think will go up didn't have successful days this weekend. Peterhead got a 0-0 draw against Stenhousemuir. A bit of a mayhem happened at the end of that game. We had Jordan Brown getting sent off on the 95th minute and Michael Anderson getting sent off on the 81st minute. So 2 red cards, 2 dismissals relatively late in the game at the Balmore Stadium. No goals in that game. No goals in the Forfar and Elgin game. I mean, very low scoring. Very low scoring. And the last game was Stranraer 1, East Fife 1. Craig Ross got sent off 9 minutes in. It's not often you get a player sent off that early. Stranraer had to deal with it, and they dealt with it pretty well in the end because they got a point against East Fife. But if you add up the goals from League 2, we've got 2, 2, and 2. So 6 goals among the 10 teams in League 2. It's not a lot when you think about it. That might be one of the lowest scoring weekends of a league ever. That's extremely low. Only 6 goals in the entirety of League 2. Pretty damn strange. Anyway, this is what the League 2 table looks like. Peterhead lead the way. No team now, after Match Day 2, has a 100% record. It's very early to lose the record after only 2 games, but what I think this shows is it's going to be a pretty close league. It's going to be a competitive league, and it doesn't look like anyone is going to run away with it. Peterhead currently on top. You've got Bonnie Rig Rose and Stranraer joining them, and at the bottom, it's also a three-way fight between Elgin City, Clyde, and East Fife. Nobody wants relegated from this league. Let's be honest. I would say this is the worst league to get relegated from. Now, people will argue, no, the Premiership to the Championship is worse. That's a bigger drop-off. And while it might be financially, I think that if you're a good side, I think that even if you're not a good side, even if you're just an average side, you can be a bad side in the Premier League. I still think you've got a better chance to come back up from the Championship to the Premier League. Once you get relegated from League 2, how many teams go down to the Highland and Lowland League and come back up? I don't think anyone's done it yet. For the pure fact is, there was a lot of teams just literally hanging on in League 2, and the only reason some of these teams were staying in the pyramid was because there was no relegation. But now there is relegation. We've seen these teams they're just behind the teams in the Highland and Lowland League, whereas those teams from the Highland and Lowland League have been improving over the years, and now they're just a step ahead of the majority of the teams in League 2. So I think once you get relegated from League 2, it's a long way back up. So word of advice to some of these teams, make sure you don't finish last. Make sure you avoid finishing in 10th place. Let's move on to League 1 though. Alloa 0, Stirling Albion 1. Another red card. Lots of red cards here. Dale Carrick got the goal for Stirling Albion. Former Airdrieonians player. Used to have him in my FM saves, so yeah, good for him, I guess. Annan Athletic 1, Montrose 3. Big win for Montrose. Was not expecting that. But yeah, Montrose scoring all 3 of their goals in the first half. Cove Rangers got a draw with Falkirk 2-2. Jordan Allen rescuing a point for Falkirk in the dying moments. 96th minute, boom. Jordan Allen getting Falkirk a single point in that one. Edinburgh City 1, Queen of the South 2. Marvin Bartley bouncing back. Disappointing defeat on match day 1. He probably was fearing the worst, to be honest, here when they were trailing 1-0 after 14 minutes. Kyle Doherty equalised in the 80th minute before Kyle McClelland got a goal in the 83rd minute. So Kyle's coming to save Queen of the South. But Kyle McClelland got sent off for taking his top off with the goal celebration, which I think is an absolute disgrace. Thankfully, though, it didn't cost Queen of the South and they managed to hold on and get the win. Getting a player sent off, man, for taking a shirt off is embarrassing. It shouldn't be it shouldn't. Maybe if you're not on a yellow, even then, no, who cares? And I was going to try and suggest that if you're not on a yellow, you can be given a yellow, but no, that's bullshit. So what, you're taking your shirt off? I mean, what the fuck, you know? It just doesn't make any sense. Look at all these hoes that are taking their shirts off and getting paid on OnlyFans. They get money. Fucking a guy scores, takes his shirt off in celebration, and he gets a fucking yellow card. Are you shitting me? Make it make sense. Celtic Hearts 0. Hamilton Academical 2, so Regan Tumlety and Ryan 1. Imagine having a second name called 1. Bit of a weird surname, but anyway, Hamilton Academical getting the win against Celtic Hearts. And that means Hamilton are still top of the table with 6 points. Stirling Albion also have 6 points. Then it is Falkirk on 4. A whole bunch of teams on 3, and at the bottom it's Edinburgh City and Annan Athletic still to get off the mark. Still both teams with no points. Prick. So aye, not looking good for Edinburgh and Annan at the bottom of League 1. But like I said, very early days. No one will be panicking yet, let's be honest. You can get off to a bad start in these leagues and still come good. It doesn't really matter. Obviously you want to get off to a good start. You want to win your first couple of games, but I mean, losing your first couple of games isn't a big deal. And I'm sure Edinburgh City and Annan Athletic will know that. Just like Stirling Albion and Hamilton, they'll know that this league is far from done. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the Championship. Airdrieonians 2, Partick Thistle 1. I believe I predicted a draw in this game. I was wrong. Partick did take the lead through James Lyon, but Airdrie equalised with Gabriel McGill and then Callum Gallagher with a winner on the 71st minute. Big win there for Airdrie. Ayr United 1, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 0. Inverness Caledonian Thistle not having the greatest start to their league campaign. Let's be honest, last season it looked like they could have got promoted, it looked like they could have won a cup, and it looked like they could have been in Europe. Fast forward, 3-4 months? It's not looking too good for them now. Another defeat for them. Francis Amarte with a goal for Ayr United at Somerset Park. Dundee United 1, Dunfermline 1. This one cost me my bet, so thanks a lot, Dundee United. Thanks for nothing, Jim Goodwin. You absolute waste of space. Go get your little bag and walk across Easter Road again. Seriously. 1-1 against Dunfermline. Not good enough. Craig Whiting got Dunfermline ahead. Matthew Anneman scored in the 95th minute for United, but yeah, no, disappointing here. But a couple £100, Dundee United thought I didn't want it. I did want it, but, you know, what do I know? Dundee United put me in my place, I guess. Good point for Dunfermline, though. And it's not the worst point for Dundee United, let's be honest. I'm just a little bit annoyed that I didn't win money, because let's be honest, guys, money makes the world go round, and we all want it. Let's be honest, we all want money. We can all sit here and claim that we're minted. We can all claim to be rich or whatever, but even if you're rich, you want more money, so I wasn't going to say no to my bet winning, but Dundee United said it for me. And finally, Queen's Park. No, well, not finally, there's 2 more games to go. Queen's Park beat Arbroath by 2-1. Barry Hepburn and Rory Patton with the goals. Arbroath did take the lead through Leighton McIntosh. And at this point I was worried because I made a claim in the previous show. I said that Arbroath would not, and I repeat, would not get off the bottom of the table for the entire season. They finished match day 1 bottom, and I said they would not get off the bottom. They would be there forever. They would stay 10th throughout the entire of the championship season. And at the moment, when they were 1-0 up, I'm thinking, well, that's going to come back to bite me in the ass because it looks like I'm going to be wrong. But in the end, I believe I'm right because I think Arbroath are still dead last, especially after that 4-0 pumping. So by my calculation, they have -5 goal difference. And then finally, Raith Rovers 3, Greenock Morton 2. Not quite sure what happened in this game. Now, I was watching a vlog, Chris Morton's TV, shout out to him. He was at the game, and I just don't know why there were so many yellow cards. It's almost like there was a massive fight going on or something, a brawl for all, 11 against 11, just a battle royal, 11 guys punching the head off each other. How the fuck did we get this many amount of yellow cards? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 yellow cards, man. And surprisingly, no one got sent off. Doesn't make a lot of sense. 14 yellow cards, I don't quite get that, but I mean, whatever. Raith Rovers 3, Greenock Morton 2. And then the league table looks like this. Queen's Park lead the way with 6 points, and Arbroath are bottom with 8 points. Queen's Park led the season for the majority of it last year. How will they do this year? Can they do that again? Only this time, can they stay in front? I don't know. I think last season, personally, was their first and real opportunity, maybe their only opportunity of winning promotion. I think that will kick them. I think that will haunt them. They really should have seen off Dundee towards the end. And even Dundee's form at the end wasn't that good last year. It was just the pure fact that Queen's Park couldn't buy a win. So maybe they can do it this year. Couldn't beat Dundee, maybe they can beat Dundee United. And let's move on now to the Cinch Premiership, the league where the big boys play, although you wouldn't think that watching that game at Tynecastle today. It finished Hearts 0, Kilmarnock 0, and unfortunately, 18,455 people had to sit through that. I mean, Jesus Christ. Oh, it was a painful game. I think there was one shot on target from Kilmarnock, and no shots on target for Hearts. It really was a tough watch, an impossible watch actually. 0-0 though, probably a fair result in the end. I think Kilmarnock slightly edged it, but I don't know if they were good enough to deserve to win the game. But it's a good start for them. 4 points against Hearts and Rangers. They probably could not have asked for much more, to be honest. The other game involved in the Edinburgh Club. We had Motherwell 2, Hibernian 1, Connor Wilkinson and Mika Berif with the goals. Adam Lafondre did get one late on, but it didn't really matter, didn't really do anything. I believe it was a penalty as well, but it was just too late, not enough time left. And Hibernian might be looking good in Europe, might be looking like they can go through to the playoffs, but it's 2 defeats out of 2 in the Cinch Premiership, and all of a sudden, you feel like the pressure could be on Lee Johnson. I mean, that defeat in Andorra was bad, but because he won 6-1 in the next leg, it's almost like it didn't count. It's almost like he was forgiven for that. But he's not going to be forgiven for constantly losing games in the league. They have to start winning. So it's not good enough getting into the playoffs and getting a big game against Aston Villa if they're going to find themselves like bottom after 4 or 5 games. You know, that is not what Hibs want. They want a competent run in Europe, but they also want to be consistent in the league, and at the moment they're not. Well, they're consistently shite, so I mean, I guess he's getting that right, but it's just not good enough. Then we had the televised game of the day. Aberdeen 1, Celtic 3. I actually feel like Aberdeen deserved something for this game. It wasn't Celtic's greatest performance, but they got a 3-1 win. Nonetheless, definitely a difficult place to go, Pittodrie. So to come away for Pittodrie with the 3 points, that is the main thing for Celtic. Yeah, they would have preferred to have played better, but the win is what was wanted. The win was what was needed, and that's what they got. So, yeah, on another day, Aberdeen, I think, were good enough to get a point, but they didn't get it here. Kyogo does what Kyogo does. If you haven't got him in your fantasy team, then I don't know what to tell you guys. You are missing out. I actually took him out my fantasy team, so I'm a fucking idiot, but whatever. Leila Bada scored early on. Looked like it could have been offside, but in the end, I think it was level. Bojan Miovski equalised, then late on, Matt O'Reilly got the goal. It was a pretty good game, to be honest, all the way up until that Matt O'Reilly goal. Aberdeen were in it, but once Aberdeen fell behind, then it was game over once they went 2 goals behind. And there was a period of the match where Joe Hart came out, and I believe he wiped out Miovski, but fortunately for Joe, Miovski was offside, so It didn't count, but otherwise that would have been a straight red card to Joe Hart, and Aberdeen would have been right back in the game. So, yeah, no, Celtic a little bit fortunate today, but they came through with a win, and that's what champions do. Rangers 4, Livingston 0. A scoreline that I think flatters Rangers. I've heard a lot of Rangers fans praising this performance and result. But in all honesty, there wasn't much to it. And up until Danilo scored in the 78th minute to make it 2-0, I mean, this was a shite game to watch. Rangers didn't look like scoring for large periods. They took the lead early on, and good for them. It was a decent finish for Sam Lammers. But up until that second goal in the 78th minute, you're kidding yourself on if you believe this was a great performance, a dominant performance. It really wasn't. And if Livingston could have got an equaliser, then I don't think there's any way Rangers go on and win 4-0. I think Livingston could have held it for the point, but as soon as Rangers got the second goal, the third and fourth followed. But I think we need to see more for Rangers. They have not looked good enough. The only thing is, a lot of the new signings got goals in this game, so that might give them positivity, that might give them some momentum now, and maybe they can go on and perform better. But yeah, no, definitely. Celtic and Rangers, I think that both Old Firm sides have been slacking so far to start the season. And I was expecting them, don't get me wrong, I was expecting the league to be overall tighter this season. I do think we'll see other clubs take more points off the Old Firm. But I wasn't expecting Old Firm just to be so bad, they don't look good. Honestly, Celtic look a shadow of themselves under Brendan Rodgers. They do not look like the way they looked under Ange, that is for sure. And Rangers have brought in all these new guys and they haven't really done anything, so who knows, it could just take time. It is early. Like I say, with Rangers you've got pretty much 9 new players coming in. With Celtic you've got a brand new manager in, so yeah, it probably will take time. But so far it's not been the greatest watch from either side. Ross County though, that was a decent watch. 2-0 against St Johnstone. St Johnstone are going down. I predicted it at the start of the season. I'm not going to change my prediction now. They look really, really poor. I believe Stephen McLean is out of his depth. I don't think he was good enough to get the job in the first place. For some reason they gave it to him. Sacking Callum Davidson was a big, big mistake. No loyalty for the club whatsoever. The guy won them two domestic cups, Scottish Cup, League Cup. He should have had that job for life. Or at least he should have been allowed to have the opportunity to get them relegated, but they sacked him, and I think they would have been alright with Callum Davidson, but whatever. They've brought in Steve McLean, and it's not like he's doing much. It's not like he's doing better. And I think it's only a matter of time before Steve McLean gets fired as well. Unless they're willing to give Steve McLean time to take them down. I just don't see it ending well for St Johnstone or McLean. Just doesn't seem good enough. Even last season, he didn't really... You look at Motherwell, they had a big, big bounce under... I forget who their manager is, but the point is they had a big, big bounce when he came in. And we just didn't really... You look at Barry Robson, Aberdeen, they had a bounce, the managerial bounce. St Johnstone didn't have that. They just kind of laboured their way to safety. Anyway, good win for Ross County, 2-0. Kel Turner and Connor Randall getting the goals. St Mirren, with a big, big win at the SMISA Stadium, 6,500. Good attendance there for St Mirren. You know what, St Mirren actually do have good attendances, and if I could see any team consistently break into top 6, if I could, the way the Scottish football is considered right now, you've got your two powerhouses that are Celtic and Rangers, and then you've got your 3 big clubs that are Hearts, Hibs and Aberdeen. If I could see anyone breaking into that top 6 and being considered on the same kind of level as the previous 3 clubs I just mentioned, it would be St Mirren, because they have a really good manager under Stephen Robinson at the moment. They have a pretty good squad as well. And what they also have is good attendances. When you look at St Mirren's attendances, they're always doing around 6,000-7,000. And that's without Old Firm. That's not Old Firm factoring into that. Even on their own, even when they're taking on newly promoted Dundee here, they're getting 6,500 fans. So that is pretty good. Anyway, 2-1 win for St Mirren. Mikael Mandarin and Joe Shaughnessy with a goal. Dundee did pull one back late on, but it wasn't enough. Dundee, I think, will be fine. I predicted them, I believe, to finish 10th this season. I see Dundee being alright. They're not great by any means, but I don't see them being bad enough to go down. I think it's St Johnstone going down, and I believe Livi will finish in the relegation playoff. Whether they'll be good enough to stay up or not, I'm not too sure. But that was the final game in the Cinch Premiership, and then we look at the table, and after 2 games, Celtic and St Mirren, the only 2 teams with 100% records. Then it's Hearts and Motherwell and Kilmarnock with 4 points. Then we have Rangers in 6th with 3 points. Ross County in 7th with 3 points. Then it's Dundee, Aberdeen and Livingston all having a point each. And then in the bottom 2 spots we have Hibernian and St Johnstone in last place. Not great to be a Hibs fan or an Aberdeen fan. You just want a good start to the season, don't you? If you want it, it's just nice to be 4 or 5 games in and be at the top, you know, even though we all know that Celtic or Rangers are going to win it anyway. It's just nice to be above one of them, if not both of them, in the early goings of the season. But you've got Hibs and Aberdeen now, and it's like, what can they do from there? Again, I know they're still in the battle for 3rd place, but, I mean, they shouldn't be there. It's a shite start for both of them. St Johnstone, they'll probably, similar to Arbroath, they'll probably not move off the bottom, to be fair. St Johnstone could be in 12th place for life, if you ask me. And finally, let's have a quick look then at the fixtures for the, not next week, but the following week, because we do have a week off. So it's Ross County taking on Rangers. That game is on Sky, televised. Celtic, oh my God, things are going to get worse for St Johnstone. Poor St Johnstone. There's going to be 3 games without a win, and they're going to be rock bottom of the table. Got Dundee taking on Hearts, Hibernian taking on Livingston. It's a big game for both of them. Livi only have a point, Hibernian looking for their 1st point. Motherwell against Kilmarnock, St Mirren against Aberdeen. If St Mirren can beat Aberdeen, then what a position they put themselves in. They would be 8 points ahead of Aberdeen, and I'm not saying 8, at this point in the season, yeah, 8 points, it's not that much, but 8 points overall is still a big points tally. So if St Mirren could beat Aberdeen, then in that battle for 3rd, what an advantage they have over the Sheep already. Look, remains to be seen what will happen, guys. Like I said, there is a week off. We've got the Scottish League Cup fixtures, the last 16. That should be interesting, with more European games as well mixed in there. And then I said the Scottish national team will be back soon as well. So lots of football to look forward to. I will catch you in the next one. As for now, though, Celtic and St Mirren both lead the way. And we'll find out, I guess, at the end of the season who's going to be crowned champions. But it's nice seeing a 2-way title fight for now. Let's just leave it at that. Till next time, guys. Peace.